welcome to We Watch Bad Films, the podcast where we watch bad films so you don't have to. I'm Gary, and with me, as always, is Jay. Hello, Jay.
Howdy doody.
I'm Doodying Howie. Thank you very much for asking. Jay, so often we watch bad films, but have you watched anything good this week?
Depending on when people are listening to this, but this will probably go on for the foreseeable million years into the future. We're currently in another lockdown, so I have been watching a few different things, but what I made myself do was have a Christopher Nolan festival in my living room, where I watched all of his films, apart from his first one, which I've not seen yet, but all of his films since then in order once a day. And that culminated in...
That would culminate in Tenet.
Yes.
Now, that's interesting because Tenet, we watched, that's our 6th episode of this show. And it was a rare opportunity, a last opportunity, for us to watch a film in the cinema and then talk about it immediately afterwards. And I think I can summarize it by saying, good idea, not necessarily executed really well. We split opinion on whether we'd like to watch it again, I'm sure. However, I think my stance has cooled and I would like to re-watch it and try and get some more of it. Not that I didn't understand it, but I felt it would actually benefit from being a little more clear, a little more lucid, and actually have a protagonist, ironically called the protagonist, that we want to care about and has an interesting story, because he very much felt like a cipher. So after that long, rambly intro, what did you make of your second watch of Tenet, Jay?
I have to just be clear that I think it is a good film. I mean, it's a Christopher Nolan film, so they're all really good. And it was actually very interesting rewatching a lot of those films, because even though I hold them up as being really great films in my mind, I don't actually sit there and rewatch them very often. And things like Interstellar and Inception, I hadn't watched it since they'd come out, and I was watching them thinking, wow, I don't remember this. This is really interesting. I mean, I will say as a side, Interstellar is a really weird film. Interstellar is so weird. It goes all over the place, literally and metaphorically. But we're talking about Tenet, and I stand by everything that I said. I think it's a very good film, very well done. The premise is amazing, but it is so complicated that it obscures everything.
And I think you're in danger of when you say it's complicated, like, I didn't understand it. And I know that's not what you're saying, and I was trying to say the same thing. I get it, but I feel like it would be a little bit more enjoyable if it was a little bit more lucid, if it was a little bit more transparent.
Yeah, and also there is zero characterization, and I realized actually in Christopher Nolan films there is zero characterization. Because the characters are not important. They're there to furnish the idea, and the exception to that is the Batman films, because there are huge, massive characters in that, which is really interesting.
But the characters are already made, built, and drawn, ready to be used.
But also, Christopher Nolan co-wrote a lot of those films, either with his brother Jonathan, or he co-wrote certainly The Dark Knight with the guy I can't remember, so we may have to come back to that when I remember his name. But so Tenet he wrote on his own, and it shows. I think he came up with the concept, and he put all the characters, the actors in place like a chess game, simply for the concept. And I think it works in his head, but I think he's forgotten what the audience experiences, and it could be a much more enjoyable film if he had some characterization.
I agree. I think there's an awful lot of a good film there, but it's kind of blocked up. It's kind of hard to get to the good bit of the film. There's obstacles in your way, and there's a really good central idea. The whole reverse process. I don't want to call it reverse time, because I don't think that's fair, and it's not really about time travel. It is literally about reversing a sequence. It's really interesting, and the elliptical notion of the plot is sort of obvious but perfect at the same time. But I stand by what I said before, that if I had the time. I think I'd rather watch Triangle again, which has a wonderful elliptical plot.
Yeah, I mean, I was re-watching some of those fight scenes, and the fight scene where, if you haven't seen the film, yeah, this is spoilers central, where the protagonist is fighting himself in Oslo airport, and he's fighting himself. One of himself is in forwards, and the other one is in backwards, and then you see that happening, and then about an hour later, it comes back to the same fight, and it's in reverse. I just think, oh my God, how did he explain this to the stunt performers and the choreographers? I mean, it's an amazing achievement. It really is, but issues.
A little bit cold, which is my biggest problem with Nolan films.
Yeah,
It's
but
a lack of warmth about them.
I think you should rewatch it at some point, Gary, and let me know what you think, because you didn't want to rewatch it when we were just finished watching it.
Yeah, but I fully accept that. That's that was an immediate feeling, and something about me wants to try it again and see what happens.
Yeah, it looks amazing. It's a great soundtrack.
The soundtrack, I don't remember the soundtrack now. I assume it wasn't Zimmer, was it?
No, it's Ludwig Göransson from the
Of course, the
Mandalorian.
magnificent Ludwig Göransson. So no wonder it was good. Yeah, he's got the gold touch at the moment.
Oh, he's so amazing, and he's also a co-writer and co-producer of Childish Gambino, who was Lando Calrissian in Solo.
Yes, clearly his most famous role.
Yeah, so he's hot. He's hot on all sides now, music and film composition. So yeah, can't wait for his next thing.
Moving on from Christopher Nolan, I think we should watch another film right now. Are we going to watch another Christopher Nolan film?
I was just thinking, from the sublime to the ridiculous, I'm going to bite the bullet, and we're going to watch tonight Shark Attack 3 Megalodon.
Okay. I wonder what the plot is.
They're going to space.
So we've got previous on this, because you'll recall that we watched Cruel Jaws way back when. And that was quite entertaining, and I had the gall to use actual footage from the original Jaws sewn into the film itself.
Yeah.
Are we in for something similar tonight, do you think?
Possibly. It's 2002, so it's not back in the day. It's within.
Okay, so I can expect shonky CGI.
Yes. Let's look out for that. In fact, let's call it. Let's say there's going to be shonky CGI in this. I can tell you,
not just shonky, but really pants, lots of grey.
Yeah, I mean, in 2002, most CGI was pretty shonky, so this is going to be absolutely awful, I imagine. I can tell you one bit of casting which it may pique your interest. Do you remember Torchwood?
I do, the Doctor Who spin-off.
Yes. Do you remember Jack Harkness?
So we're going to have Yantho Jones.
No, we're going to have Captain Jack.
No. So Captain Jack Harkness, otherwise known as musical legend John Barrowman.
Yes, that's right. Who was also...
That's interesting casting.
He was a children's TV presenter, bizarrely, in the UK in the early 90s as well.
He was. And I tell you what, I've just pulled up John Barrowman's Twitter, and he was in Cardiff today.
Was he?
Presenting the... I don't know. I don't know what he was doing. He was having a walk down Penarth Street seafront.
Presenting himself.
Posting a video from Cardiff. Yeah. He has a shock of silver hair now, as opposed to
I know.
boot polish black we're used to. Shark Attack 3. Well, that's great. What I think we should do now is you guys go and listen to a trailer. We'll go and watch the film, regret it enormously, and talk about it afterwards.
People pay a lot of money to come down here. They expect you to use everything, including the beaches.
You cannot let people swim in the water when there's a shark out there! We've got a shark heading for the shore. Get everyone out of the water now!
Attacking the ship.
We've got a 60-foot shark swimming off our coast. It's not gonna go away.
I've heard of ancestor of the great white shark. It's supposed to be extinct.
You lied to me?
7 men dead. You knew something was dangerous down there. You let them dive anyway.
They knew it was risky.
Bull fucking shit!
You want something powerful enough that we're not missing. It'll blow a hole clear to the hull of a battleship. Come on.
Welcome back to We Watch Bad Films, where we've just watched Shark Attack 3, Megalodon. Tagline, The Terror Has Surfaced. Jay, any initial thoughts?
Yeah, it was a roller coaster ride. Yeah, I'm emotionally spent.
Well, it's true that it didn't let up. Let me attempt a bit of a recap for some people. Bear with me, it's an odd little plot. We open on a scene of some people trying to repair cables underground. Suddenly a shark attacks. We then cut to John Barrowman, our hero, as Ben, who, looking for stuff under the sea, finds a big shark's tooth. He can't identify it, so using the best of his modern 2002 technology, sends for help to identify the shark tooth. Enter Catalina Stone, who sees his message and comes to visit him. Under the pretense of being a marine biologist, turns out she's actually in fossils or something. They head out with a camera crew to try and identify the shark. There's a bit of a foray, and the shark attacks the boat. Cat manages to shotgun the shark in the mouth and kill it. They celebrate for about 30 seconds, and then they realize that its big mama is just on its tail, and it's absolutely huge. Exactly how big this big shark is to be defined, as it changes size depending on what scene we're looking at. In the background of all this, their friend, the beautifully named Chuck Rampart, hacks a US military. It's not funny. Hacks a military database to discover they already knew about this shark, but they were not telling anyone so as not to damage the publicity of the beach. Where have I heard this story before in a shark film? There's a big party on a boat with loads of dignitaries on it. Meanwhile, our heroes decide that they can kill the shark with electricity and a giant torpedo from the Navy. So they have a little yellow submarine. Yes, a yellow submarine. Shark attacks the big boat. They manage to fire a torpedo at the big shark and kill it. I think that'll do, won't it?
Yeah, that was the meat of the story.
Yeah, and there was plenty of meat and chum in this, wasn't there?
It certainly was.
The beginning, I mean, it's an odd little film. Yeah. So, okay, let's say this: it's pacey. You know, it doesn't hang about. There's very few boring scenes in it.
Yeah, I think it was. I think it was entertaining. I think I can say that, can't I?
You're allowed, whether it's true or not, is something else. But no, I think you're right. It was entertaining.
Yeah.
I was glad. You know, we've had our fair share of absolute boring stinkers, but this is mildly entertaining if you're in the mood for a poorly made animal and creature attack film.
Yeah. So I've been researching it a little bit. When it started, we thought, because it's set in Mexico, and I don't know why, we just assumed that the whole film was also filmed in Mexico and all the crew and actors were in Mexico. I suppose also because about a third of it is dubbed. We're not really sure why.
Well, yeah, and it's also, even if it's not dubbed, it's terrible ADR, really clearly not in the scene, added later on.
Yes. So, and then you looked it up and you said that it was an Israeli production, which was like, oh, okay, so it's not Mexican. And then in the credits, all of the names were of Slavic or Russian denomination. And then it mentions Sofia, which is the capital of Bulgaria. So we think, oh, it's maybe Bulgarian. Anyway, I've just looked on johnbarrowman.com. Here we go. So it was filmed in Bulgaria.
Okay.
So we've got, it may, and I've also just seen that it's a South African production. So it may be South African, it may be Israeli. It was filmed in Bulgaria and it stars the, I believe, Canadian John Barrowman. So it's all over the place.
Born in England, of course, John Barrowman.
Yeah, well, there you go. So British, Canadian in a Bulgarian, Israeli, South African shark film. I mean, that's got the makings of classic already.
Yeah, it's really common. It happens all the time.
Oh, yeah. So apparently he was offered this film and he was working in the US already and he had a mortgage on his New York apartment to pay. So he accepted this film. Well, that's a reason, isn't it? That's a reason to do a film.
It certainly is a reason, and fair play to him. He doesn't hold back. He gives a nice over-the-top performance, which is correct in this sort of film.
Oh, yeah.
Sort of worried looks and shouting and stuff. He's absolutely fine.
Gary, maybe you should explain to our non-UK, non-sci-fi listeners who John Barrowman is and why he's famous.
Well, yeah, it's a good question. I suppose the reason that he's famous nowadays in this country is he had a recurring role in the recent Doctor Who as a character called Jack Harkness, who was more or less immortal, lived for a long time certainly, and also got a little spin-off series in the form of Torchwood. So it's been very popular in that. If you dial back another 5 or so years before that, he was host of Kids' Saturday morning TV show. I want to say Live and Kicking. I might be wrong about that, but certainly the Saturday morning TV shows we used to have. And more recently, he's gone back to his love of musicals. So, he's certainly a very camp, fun character. He's absolutely capable of laughing at himself. And I think, judging by interviews, he goes back and laughs about this role as well. And fair play to him.
As well he should. Because I certainly laughed quite a lot.
We laughed a lot. I mean, when we come to performances, his leading lady, not quite so good. In fact, downright awful.
Jenny McShane. Yeah,
Paul McShane, Jenny McShane.
baby. Sorry, that's no one's going to understand what we're doing there. So what?
Baby, I'll get down on my knees with you.
I'll move on, but she is awful. She's so bad.
Now, when you said we were going to watch Shark Attack 3, I was a little bit concerned I wouldn't be able to follow the plot, having not seen or even heard of Shark Attack 1 or 2. But as it turns out, Jenny McShane has been in Shark Attack 1 as a completely different character.
Yeah, so we're not sort of we're not following the way that it was filmed. So, and then she's not either. She's playing a completely different character. So.
In the SCU, you mean the Shark Cinematic Universe?
Correct. Yes. So who cares? It's anyone's game. Yeah, she's awful. She's one of the worst actresses I've seen fronting a film in quite a long time. She has all the emotion of a shark. In fact, the shark had more of a personality than her, particularly when it sort of grunted. It did a lot of grunting, this shark. Don't know if you know, but
So,
sharks
well,
grunt.
apparently so. Does the name Alan Howard mean anything to you, Jay?
It rings a bell. Remind me.
Yeah, well, he is known as the voice of the ring in the Lord of the
Oh,
Rings
yes.
film. I wonder if they got him in to do voice of the shark in this film. Because every time the shark was on screen, they did this noise. I mean, I don't know why the shark needs vocalizing. I'm not sure it adds to the suspense or the terror.
It sounded like
But,
he was
you know,
having a bit of, when you sort of, you're a bit hungry and your stomach rumbles. That's what it sounded like. Yeah. Maybe the shark was hungry, Gary.
Oh, you've solved the mystery.
Of course.
The mystery of
Oh, sorry. There's a few hundred humans I need to eat. I'm feeling a bit peckish. Yeah, that's what that's what it was. Yeah, she's rubbish. Jenny McShane, Cataline Stone. She sort of dresses like someone beamed in from 1997. She looks like a member of All Saints, the 90s British girl band.
The huge cargo pants, hoodies, that sort of
rubbish.
Thing.
Yeah. The only time she really emotes is that one scene where she's crying, and you can tell someone off camera has just sprayed her face with water or shoved a couple of onions in her eyeballs, and she's like snot dripping down her nose. I can't even remember what she's crying about, but she's certainly got water coming out of her face, various parts. So that was her emotion.
That's called range.
Yeah. A lot of the other actors aren't even using their own voices, let alone acting very well. So
no, that happens far too often. There was a guy right at the start. He was a really old, gruff, sea captain, clearly voiced by someone in their teen years, maybe 16, pretending to do an old man voice.
There's a lot
very strange bit of ADR.
A lot of the actors with those voices, they come across like some sort of characters from a 90s computer game. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. When full motion video was all the rage, and suddenly we could show video clips in games, but you couldn't afford the cast.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, I'm trying to hold myself together, but I'm waiting for you to mention some of the points of this film, which take a shoddy film, which I renamed Shod Attack 3, into the realm of amazingly amazing, terrible film.
Yeah, well, if you need these bits in bad films that make you go, "What was that?" I'm thinking, the CG in Birdemic, or I'm thinking of the peeing on the food scene in Troll 2. And for this, I think what tips it over the edge is shots of the giant, and I mean giant shark eating things. And this is achieved by having the same footage that they've got of a shark and just, cut and pasting whatever they want into the mouth of the shark and cruddily animating it.
Let's set the scene. So for 2/3 of the film, we see the shark. We see the shark all the time, but when I say we see the shark in this film, that's not actually true, is it, Gary? We see someone else's film. We see loads and loads of documentary footage of sharks, a bit like Cruel Jaws, a bit like a lot of the shark films that we've seen. And that's what we see throughout the whole film. And then towards the end, when the shark actually eats some of the main characters, spoiler alert, I don't know how they do it, but an amazing thing happens on screen. I think how they're doing it is like they've got the film footage of a shark opening its jaws, and then they've cut and pasted on tiny little versions of the main characters inside its mouth, and then it really shoddily closes on this animation. It just looks utterly ridiculous, and it's amazing. It's so good.
Well, I think we were worried because it was 2002. We'd have a lot of dodgy CGI to wade through. I think there was hardly any.
Well, I mean, there was no CGI until the last 10 minutes, where there was a load of dodgy CGI. But really, Yeah, we thought we were going to get CGI-tastic all the way through, but not very much.
Yeah, exactly. And, you know, it gave us some quality scenes, such as a guy riding his jet ski into the mouth of the giant shark.
It's so good. I can't. Oh, that is emblazoned.
You did struggle with that, didn't you?
No, it's emblazoned on my mind, that shot. I heard you chuckling away. It is so good. So there's some. I think it's the main bad guy. He's some old, gruff, round-faced, old curmudgeon of a guy, and it cuts to him. It's like a green screen. It looks like some sort of old 70s kung fu film. Do you know what I mean? That sort of effect where you think, oh, here we go.
That is exactly it. It's got really bad matte lines around
Something's gonna happen. There's some special effects in inverted commas gonna happen here, and then it's a big close up of his face, and then all of a sudden he shoots past the screen on his jet ski. It cuts to a huge mouth of the shark, and then somehow through the magic of cinema they've merged these two things: the man on the water ski going into the massive shark mouth. It's so funny. It's amazing. I think that's one of the best deaths I've ever seen on film.
Yeah, and it's played really well. There's just zoom, he zips straight into the mouth. Boom, it's gone. But they do like this shot of the big mouth eating thing, so they recycle it about 5 times.
Yeah, they do. First time it's like, oh my god, what was that? Gary, did you see that? Because it comes out of nowhere.
Yeah.
And then
yeah, exactly.
And then it happens a few times, but still, every time it happens, it is hilarious. I've never seen anything quite like it, actually, and I'm not overstating that. What I mean is, literally, I've never seen an effect like that before used anywhere. So, you know, it's unique in cinema history just for that.
I think you're overselling it somewhat, but perhaps we'll move on. I mean, you know what to expect from the shark effects. You see a rubber shark quite often, but they do a good job often of dimming the lights, having flickering lights. You can't quite get that bad a bearing on it. Lots of fin shots. You were getting quite frustrated by the amount of fin in this film.
Okay. We know what we're going to expect in these shark films. It's going to be 90% documentary footage from 1827 on terrible film stock. So you'll have the main film, and then it will cut to a shot of the shark, and it looks like it's beamed in from another planet, another time zone. That's how it usually goes with these films. So that's fine. What they had decided to do as well in this film is have a wooden or plastic fin facing directly onto the camera and the camera behind it, and you just follow the fin. It's fin cam basically, but it looks so terrible, and they kept using it. It's like, oh, come on, this is so shoddy. Yeah, I wasn't up for that, but it is amusing. It is amusing.
There was also, I mean, they couldn't help themselves, but basically rip off the Jaws music. They couldn't help themselves, could they?
Yeah, and I want to name and shame this guy. What's it? I found his name. I'll come back to that. Bill Wylan or something. Yeah, the music it's going full tilt, but it's like, yes, it's John Williams. I do feel sorry for John Williams. He's just basically been ripped off in every.
It's Bill Wendell.
Yeah, Bill Wendell. Yeah, there you go. Yeah. Yeah. Poor old John Williams. All that lost revenue from the people ripping him off. I did enjoy the music on the yacht. Are we going to talk about the yacht?
Oh, which you titled "Sexy Buffet Music."
Sexy Buffet. Yeah, because it's a big luxury yacht, and it cuts to this massive overladen table of just cack with this. I think I saw a big iced cake with like the logo of the company on it or something. I think I remember that. And wailing in the background is just some sexy saxophone music. And then actually, right in the corner, right at the back of the shot, is a couple of guys, a guy on a keyboard and a guy on a saxophone. So it's, what do they call that music? Didactic music. It's there.
Diegetic, yes. Yeah.
That's a great scene. It's a bit like I thought it was a bit like the Jabba's sail barge scene with all the.
It was exactly like
It
that.
was.
Exactly what their inspiration was.
Yeah.
I feel like so we are not the first people to discover this film, and I believe some of the lines in the film have achieved notoriety.
I know what you're going to say,
including-
Gary.
And
I'm already laughing.
I have to apologise for some of this. I mean, apparently one of the lines, "bull fucking shit," has been turned into a song, which, you know, if you like that sort of thing, it's fine. There was a lot of holy fucking shit as well.
Holy fucking shit!
Which is
And
something.
now the line.
You're pushing me into
I
saying this.
am.
But, so just after a tense scene, John Barrowman turns to his leading lady and says,
You know, I'm really wired. What do you say I take you home and eat your pussy?
and then you get the biggest smash cut into a sex scene. Bam! Not even a moment's hesitation. Reading around, it seems like that wasn't going to be something left in the film. John Barrowman was just saying it to make the actress laugh, but they left it in and she didn't react. So
as soon as you said that, I put my head in my hands.
yeah, there was nowhere to go from that.
I wasn't expecting it. Gary knew that line was about to be.
I bumped into that fact.
He knew it was going to be uttered.
I mean, there's quite an obsession with body parts in the script. I mean, the script's really weak.
Oh,
There
are some terrible lines. There's some also really good terrible lines, but basically the script is awful. But I forgot at the beginning in that first half an hour section, there's lots of T and A talk and shot.
Yeah, you're the ass man, and you'd do anything for that ass.
Yeah, I mean, like a couple of minutes just of two characters talking about tits and ass. It's really not necessary.
Yeah.
Cool. And then it's
really
I mean, in fact, there's a lot of nip in this film as well. Nipple.
Yeah, it's a lot of rogue nudity.
There's even, for equality purposes, and even a flash of peen. I'm pretty sure that we see a member, a member of the crew's member, a member of the cast.
Well, I'll let you go and track that one down with a pause button.
Yes, the woman. There's a couple on the beach, and they're going to go into the water. Yes, of course, because they need to be eaten. So they're going to get into the water, and obviously the woman takes off her bra, shows her tits, and then no, she takes off the lower half as well. Oh, she's completely naked, and then that's a shame. Then all of a sudden the man does as well. Oh wow, okay, fine. It's all over the place. It's like a beach in Germany or something. I wasn't expecting it.
Yes. There's just one more line that I'd like to pick out, which is said entirely deadpan by John Barrowman. This is serious. We found a guy's leg and he was playing frisbee with his dog. You can't have a sentence like that that's serious with the word frisbee. They can't go together.
I remember you laughing at that at the time.
Frisbee. Very serious. Yeah, quite. Jay, would you recommend Shark Attack 3 Megalodon?
I would recommend Shark Attack 3 Megalodon. Yes, it's really entertaining. It basically ticks all of our boxes. It's snappy. It's not boring. The dialogue is awful. The acting is terrible. The effects are beyond your wildest imagination bad. But it's not boring, and I would recommend it. I think it's the kind of film you can watch together with some of your friends who haven't seen it, and then also if you've seen it, you can wait for a couple of those scenes, either the shark eating people scenes or the John Barrowman infamous line, and see what your friend's reaction will be.
Yeah, if you're up for a bad movie night, it's a good one to cycle in.
Yes.
Now, we have to watch out with our future choices, Jay, because we're in danger of becoming the bad shark movie podcast, as I pointed out to you. This is the third shark movie we've covered. Is it just endemic to the genre? Well, if you've seen that, please let us know what you thought. Come and find us on Twitter at We Watch Bad Films, or come say hi on Instagram. Same name, We Watch Bad Films. But that's all from us for now. Goodbye, everyone.